What's up, jobbers, and welcome to the latest edition of the Jobber Knocker podcast. As always, is Nestlemania alongside for the ride is a man that always is Jamaican McCrazy, JC.
Yeah, I mean, CM Punk, he does a lot of great things, but sometimes the corn comes out, and that was corny as fuck.
I mean, you know, there's that, but what are you going to do?
Hey, not
it is
much.
what it is.
But I'm going to tell you where we're going to start this week, Nestlemania. We're going to start in the shine, and we're going to start with that man, CM Punk, because guess what? He was on SmackDown. He was on Raw. He was backstage at NXT. The man's everywhere. He's a company guy. Who would have thought? 10 years later, almost to the day, the man is a company man. But we'll start off on SmackDown because we got more of that punky promo from him than his little rah shish kumbah that he had in his opening promo. But got a little more. He dropped some names. He alluded to punching people in the face backstage. And he said all that Seth Rollins has is that song. And I tell you what, he ain't wrong. But yeah, it was pretty cool to see him on SmackDown. Obviously, that will be the last time until they decide to break the brand split again, which is almost every week. Because on Raw, he officially signed with Raw and Adam Pearce. And then we got into him and Rollins, of course.
So I am curious how you feel about CM Punk. It seemed like it was a slam dunk. He was supposed to be on Raw. He's definitely somebody that needs to be on Raw. It's 3 hours. He's a very heavy promo guy. You can say he's the best in the world. I don't believe that any more than anybody else does. But on the microphone, he grabs your attention. In the ring, not for me anymore. But again, the lead ups to things he's going to be doing are fantastic. He had a couple of interaction backstage, as we joked about the Jamaican Me Crazy thing, but also with, backstage, he had, of course, Judgment Day, which if you read everything on Twitter, that he will be facing Dom and MSG, which is bizarre to me, but it is what it is. He's getting a lot of time. He's getting a lot of exposure. And it's funny to me because it just feels like, are they parading him out hoping he gets measurements, in terms of, metrics here, that he's moving the needle, YouTube views, Twitter views, demographics, maybe helping the TV deal. Like there's all sorts of things that he's doing. But if 10 years ago, you wouldn't even think they'd think that way about him.
No, I think it's just that he's new, he's back, and people want to see him. So you're going to have him out there. And I think it made sense to have him on SmackDown this week because we knew he was going to Raw. So it was like, this is a way, it's a tribute to the Troop show. We can pop him up there, say, oh, he's making his return to SmackDown, yada, yada, yada. They can do the interesting things with him thinking about knocking on the Bloodline door, running into Kevin Owens backstage, which I think was interesting because this is the beauty of the Triple H era is there's all this foreshadowing to be like, yeah, someday he's going to fight Kevin Owens. Yeah, he's going to be tussling with the Judgment Day. And they got right into it with Seth Rollins. We know that isn't first up because Seth has Drew, I believe, on the New Year's Eve show. So they are doing their day one type thing they're doing on Raw for that shit because I believe that Monday is January 1st. But it's Punk's in the Rumble. He entered it, but we had that nice back and forth with Seth. They just did it. They ripped the Band-Aid off. They're like, look, this is what we know people want to see. This is what Seth clearly wants. And we're going to set it up and we're going to start foreshadowing because it certainly appears like they are on a collision course, likely at WrestleMania. And I'm curious what you thought of the back and forth on the promo. The part of the promo I liked the best was Seth just being like, I hate you. And I'm like, good. This is what you need to hear. This is how we drive it. whether it's true or not, it's just like that's what everyone perceives. So you just fucking nail it in, and Seth is kind of the goal for CM Punk as he does other things, and it's just having that disdain for him. When we finally do get to it, it's going to be sweet.
So it's hard for me because I really do love the idea of Seth Rollins and CM Punk at Mania. I think that's, a big thing here. And as they talked about on SmackDown and Raw, that, he has to finish his story, right? So there's like 3 stories that need to be finished in the WWE right now, maybe a couple more.
Well,
but
there's
a few. But the one thing that I really, really enjoyed was kind of just, he got out there, he did his pleasantries, and then he, got excited. And then Seth Rollins came out, and it was like, okay. And I saw this tweet. It's not an original thought by me, but it bears repeating here. I was getting kind of fatigued, I think is probably the best way to say it, when it comes to Seth Rollins being kind of goofy. And there's the gear shift into him not being so goofy and him taking this seriously. And it felt real, even if it wasn't. And that's good on Seth Rollins' part, right? But the one thing I've noticed about the entire thing is it just feels like a foregone conclusion now that we know that CM Punk is entering the Royal Rumble, that he's most likely going to win the Royal Rumble and pick Rollins, because that makes most sense here. But I don't know how you feel about it, because I don't like you and I kind of, I think, agree that Cody Rhodes is most likely not winning the Rumble again, and he's going to have a longer road to get there.
The men's is a 2-horse race. It seems like Cody will be challenging Roman. Punk will be challenging Seth. They're both in the Royal Rumble. And so it would seem that it would be obvious that one of them would get it. I mean, I've thought it was Gunther since last year. That was my prediction. But if he's still holding that IC title, obviously it puts a little doubt into that. And I think an interesting thing for him in the Royal Rumble this year is maybe they do go with Gunther Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania, because that's a guy on the list for Brock that it hasn't happened yet. And this could be a way to be like, you know what? Gunther's going to have plenty of time to go at world titles. CM Punk is not. He's the older guy. Strike while the iron's hot. We're going with him. So Gunther, you know what? We're going to have you fight Brock fucking Lesnar. I think that'll work out pretty well. But yeah, I think the Rumble for the men is a 2-horse race. It's CM Punk. It's Cody Rhodes. You don't see the back-to-backs very often, especially with a babyface, because it's kind of tough. But I could see them do it because I think Cody's so over it won't matter. But I think Punk's an easier one because it's another thing he can check off his bucket list. It guarantees that he's in one of the main events at WrestleMania, likely night 1. And they'll kind of play around with maybe he thinks about picking Roman. But yes, obviously with Seth antagonizing him, that appears to be the direction we are headed, which is what I wanted all along. So I'm pumped.
Our boy, the Joe Stopper, said Cody Roman can happen without the winning of the Rumble.
Which so can Punk Seth. So can Punk Seth. That's what makes it interesting. Both of these can now happen without it. So
I think the interesting whole part of this promo on Monday between Rollins and Punk is someone made a comment that, it really is the Hangman promo, but done better, and it felt a little bit more real, which again, we don't like to poke too much fun at AEW. Make sure that you hang out with your boy Joe Stopper.
I think we do like to poke some fun at AEW.
I was trying to be nice and coy about it, but apparently you just blew up my spot, and that's okay. That's okay. The one thing I will say here is there was one real line that I really, really enjoyed that Seth Rollins put out here. He said something along the lines of, "You're either going to self-destruct like you normally do, or I'm just going to beat you." And I was just like, what a great tidbit of a line. And the real part of this that I really enjoyed, and I think it was stupid. I think Bully Ray put out a poll. It was like, who had the win in the promo battle? It was like, clearly it was Seth Rollins, because it was designed that way for Seth Rollins to get his shit in. And Seth did what he had to say. He basically had a mission statement there. And then Punk looked at him and said, "That's your free pass. That's your free pass. Next time I'm coming for you, and I'm coming for you with, with words, essentially." So I thought that was good because it gave you a moment to go, I'm in the Rumble. I'm official. I'm on Raw. We're not going to touch each other, and most likely till Mania, and we're off to the races there. So I think it's interesting. But I am curious to see if he makes an appearance on NXT or if he makes an appearance on SmackDown, because I feel like the lines are definitely blurred in general with Cody Rhodes being on SmackDown for this
whenever he wants, baby.
Whenever he wants. Tribute to the troops is one thing. I get it, but
he's on there almost every week anyway. So it's one of those, like, our boy Ray trying to be the company man, sticking up for that chat. I'm like, dude, he's on SmackDown like every week. No, I think right now with Punk is just, He keeps saying he's happy and he's home, and I think he's telling the truth. He's legitimately happy and he feels like he's home. His career has come full circle. He's seen people he hasn't seen them a long time, people that he considers friends. He's made up with people that maybe he had a rough, rocky thing with him. The WWE that he left is so different than the WWE that he's come back to. And yeah, if I were him, I'd be hanging around NXT too. It's cool to see that next gen of talent. Obviously, you have AJ's kids down there, which fucking love and adore him. And also, I don't know if you realize this, but CM Punk is a huge fucking Shawn Michaels mark, like me and many of the rest of us. So the fact that Shawn Michaels is fucking running a show and kind of like molding the next generation is probably really fucking cool to him, as it is to a lot of other people. So it's one of those, it's cool to see. It's cool to see that he's happy. He's willing to go around. I mean, look, he's an older guy. He's a vet. He's been around it. As the time goes on, his schedule will probably lighten a little bit because that's just how it is for a lot of these guys. But I think right now it's like he's willing to do it all. He's happy to see everyone. He's willing to talk to people. We hear things about him going through, giving people notes at NXT. Like, that's the cool shit. Cody did the same thing when he came back. He's going all around. Like, it's just one of those things for these guys. Like, I think it's just part of the process. And you know what? Punk keeps saying he's a different person. I don't know if he is. It's one of those things, like, maybe he has, like, experience always changes people one way or another. It's maybe he truly is a little different. I don't fully buy it. I think, we'll see what happens when you can't really judge something until you get like kind of that adversity. But I do think it's at the point now where it's like, I think there's parts of him that he will react differently. And I think the thing that we hammered home on this podcast week in and week out, ever since he left AEW, whatever happened there and all that bullshit there will not happen in this company because it is a different structure. There are different people in the back, and it just like across the board, it is more professionally run and less inmates running the asylum like AEW. So I think it's just going to be different no matter what. But I think it's cool to see that he's all in, that he's happy. Because look at, man, CM Punk, he's always been a guy that when he's on TV, I have to watch him because he's interesting. Whether you like him or dislike him, CM Punk is just fucking good. He's older now. His matches, like you said, I don't give a fuck about him either, but I didn't give a fuck about him in AEW, but every time he was on, I still want to see it. I still think he could tell a story in the ring. I just think, obviously, athletically, we're going to look at sometimes and be like, oof, but we're talking about WWE, man. They put people in there that shouldn't be wrestling all the time, and they usually look better than normal, except for The Undertaker. So it is what it is.
Wow, you even put an Undertaker burn in there. Nice.
Yeah, nice. I mean, come on. CM Punk's going to be doing better in the ring than that guy.
I don't think there's anything else we can really add here, except that we're off to the races to the Royal Rumble here. It's the other thing I wanted to point out here, based on what I watched on Monday Night Raw, it made me feel like if I had to predict right now, it is CM Punk, Cody Rhodes, Drew McIntyre, and maybe like a Jey Uso in the final four. Like, that's what it feels like right now.
So you think it's going to be all Raw?
I mean, who else is on SmackDown that, I mean, maybe Solo?
Bobby Lashley.
I think, here's the thing about Bobby Lashley is he's presented in a way that he should be, but I don't know if Triple H looks at him as like a bigger deal than he is. I don't know.
Yeah, it'll be interesting because I think KO is a guy that could have a good showing there, but it's just, we also got to remember, it's like, I think Punk and Cody will probably be there till the end because they're like legitimate chances to win, but it's one of those things, like, especially with Drew McIntyre at that point and Jey Uso, if they have certain feuds they want to build to, you can always take care of those guys early. That's why it's just like I said, I think Gunther would be a good pick again, but I have a feeling that we might actually be headed towards the possible Brock Lesnar route at Mania because I was just going through it and I'm like, I think this is the year they to do it. So those two could take care of each other early. Those are two guys that would probably be in the end. Randy Orton's obviously going to be fighting Roman Reigns, but if that match happens before, maybe he gets in there and has a good showing. Who knows? And you also have, who knows if Cena comes back and all these other guys. So you never know, but I'm sure there's going to be one surprise. It'll probably come from the SmackDown brand. I mean, Lashley's obvious and KO are the obvious ones, but you never know who they might want to spotlight in these situations. So I think it's one of those things. We're going to be looking at the Rumble this year and be like, holy shit, I can't believe this guy and this guy and this guy weren't in it, because the roster is currently loaded on the male side, especially for single stars. And never mind if they want to do a couple surprises, that takes away from other people, or if they do want to do an XT person or two, it's going to be real interesting because I think this could be one of the most loaded Rumbles in terms of top end talent in a long time.
The only thing I'm wondering is, like, you know, the one where Brock was in it and throwing motherfuckers out, that's an all-timer, right? So
yeah,
no matter if you have
a Rumble of all time.
I mean, 92 is up there. That one is up there for me because of the nonsense that happened. They made a star that night, right? it's hard for them to duplicate something like that over and over and over and over again. But it just seems like with the stacked roster that you would have a better shot at telling better stories. You would think. But
yeah, and I think we've seen with WWE and the Rumble, even when the booking wasn't at its best, the Rumble was something that is always, for the most part, well booked. There's usually a purpose for everyone. They use it to set up feuds, continue feuds, have fun moments here and there. So it's like I have complete faith in them with the Rumble every year.
Okay, moving on. And what else would you like to put in the shine?
Meat! I got 2 meat matches of the week, Nestlemania. First, we're going to start with the one that was, I said last week when I saw it previewed. Willie Mack and Wardlow on Collision. That show's been a crock of shit lately, but this match was not. It was the first time we've seen Wardlow go more than like 30 seconds in a while. I mean, Willie Mack's a big fucking boy, and Wardlow was tossing him around like it was me in there. And that is fucking cool. Willie Mack, also a stud. I don't watch much TNA, but when I did, he was always a guy that I thought was super fun to watch. So it's cool to see him kind of getting an opportunity here on a bigger stage here and there, because I think he's fully signed with AEW. So, but that's a match. If you haven't seen it, check it out, because the meat. I had some steak tonight, Nestlemania. First time I ever cooked it in the air fryer. Mwah. So I'm in a very meaty mood. So that's why you're getting 2 this week. The other one, we go to Monday Night Meat, where you have the rematch between Bronson Reed and Ivar. You got the fucking big Aussie meat versus the big hairy Viking meat, and they just meat it all over that goddamn ring.
I actually put down here, not only is it the meat match of the week, but it delivered. It over-delivered. It was fucking steak on a plate. It was awesome. I like absolutely that superplex. I was just like, holy fucking A. And I mean, I've like I said, I've known Ivar for a very long time. I've watched him from, like when he was just putting up the ring and doing nothing, to seeing him go to Japan, Ring of Honor, all that shit. Like, he's always been a nice person. So to see how talented he is and getting his just due just makes me so happy to see somebody like that flying around. I hope that one of them gets another shot at Gunther. But it seems like we're in this like vortex of meat, a meat vex. I don't know, but Wade Barrett is coming through on the meat puns and every Monday night, so I'm okay with it.
They dropped him on AEW too, man. Everyone's all into the fucking meat. I mean, whenever anyone talks to fucking Miro backstage, they mention meat. So
yeah, it's fascinating to me that like normally that would be in abundance in the 80s. Like there'd be big dude versus big dude, right? Like it'd just be a random fucking match. Yet somehow now, because of the most likely they hire smaller athletic guys, the men of meat have gone away a little bit, right? It's not so ordinary to have a meat match of the week, but when it does happen, it's fan-fucking-tastic, and they put the right guys out there every single time. So it's fascinating to me to see what happens. I hope that something happens when they break apart from each other here, because that's what makes me nervous, is like you can enjoy these matches, but then what else happens afterwards? Because, as Ivar just kind of be floating until Eric comes back, is Reed really going to be taken seriously, or is it just kind of like a holding pattern? I'll be curious to see what happens.
I think Reed will be fine, because he's already been a guy that's kind of being presented well, and like he's a guy that we've both come like full circle on. But Ivar is one of those guys. I think as long as Eric said, he's just gonna have some fun singles matches. Probably wouldn't expect anything big, but I mean, I think Bronson Reed, he's the real deal. We've seen it. For a big guy that size, he does things that shouldn't be able to be done, which we're kind of blessed because we have a lot of big men in the sport right now like that in both companies. But it just, I mean, we know he's a Triple H guy too, so he'll be fine. But yeah, Ivar, it's like I expect fun matches out of him. It's a 3-hour show. You can have a nice fun match here and there with some guys, and it's something you don't normally see because normally he's in a tag team, so they can take advantage of that.
Something else that I'd like to put in the shine, R-Truth having multiple
What's
segments.
up?
Just the fact that like him being a backstage with all the baby faces and being like, happy Christmas, happy Thanksgiving. And then like everybody was confused, and Otis out of everybody was like, turkey. I love it. The fact that Otis was okay with it being Thanksgiving was just like the coup de grace on it. And then later on with the Judgment Day being like, I'm sorry, JD, you're out of the group. Nobody likes you. And then Finn being like, I like him. Like I like R-Truth. Yeah. And then doing the what's up. I was just like, this is outstanding across the board. And he doesn't have to wrestle. He's that, like we've talked about. It's so crucial to have someone be at the bottom of that hour when it's just some random thing that you don't care about and you're looking on your phone or you're looking at your tweets and stuff. When R-Truth is on my television, I just think to myself, it's so simple. Anybody could do it, but not anybody could do it. He is mastered the way of being a comedic act. He has mastered not being in ring and still being relevant. And he's like 50 years old and he still looks amazing. He's got great comedic timing. Absolutely. I don't think there's anybody out there that has better comedic timing than him.
He's great. I mean, one of my favorites of all time was Heath Slater, and the run he had is what Truth has been doing for several years now. It's just like those guys, like there's always a spot for them in a 3-hour show because you can mix them in with literally anyone and it can work. Even the most serious guys, like the Judgment Day is supposed to be a pretty serious group, but it's just one of those things that provides a little bit of relief to the tension in that group right now. And it just obviously he plays off people so well. So it just, he's one of those guys that as long as he wants to keep doing it, he's always going to have a job and an opportunity to do stuff because you can literally plug and play him anywhere in any feud, in any segment, any moment, anytime.
So adjacent to Truth, I did want to bring this up here. I don't necessarily think it's heat or shine or anything like that, but I am curious how you feel about it. I'm kind of like in purgatory. The Creeds were out there in babyface bonanza on Monday. Mm-hmm. They were there to save Truth and they were out there to save your boy at the end. Do you think that that's too much too soon because they want them to get a reaction and they're like beating people over the head to understand like, hey, these are the babyface tag team. Cheer for them. They're with your pals. They're with R-Truth and they're with Cody and everything's okay.
No, I think this is they want to get them exposure on the main roster to be like, look at these guys are the real deal. It's one of those things because the first week, like the complaint was, oh, they're just in a match. It's like, well, now they're giving you even more of them, and they're showing you like these are guys like they are like I've said before, they are the perfect babyface tag team to watch in the ring because they just they are like those like pumped up meatheads and like obviously super athletic, and they have the fun moves, they have the fun names, and they're brothers. They have the look. It's just like they work. And I think there's a real shot they could win the next week. I'm sure there'll be some gaga because it's Monday Night Raw, but I think it's just one of those things. It's like they are the new thing. And if WWE is serious about trying to actually start to push tag team wrestling, you need a legit tag team that people will like, and it works. And rubbing up against Cody and everyone else, like that's what you got to do when you have a new act that you want to tell us that they matter. This is how you do it. And I thought it was a nice touch, the thing with Cody, because I didn't expect it. We expect this to be the normal, like Jey Uso, blah, blah, blah. But I think it's nice to see sometimes where you get the randomness of, but like these guys are just in the back, even if they're not connected to someone, they come out and they see it and they do the thing. I think sometimes it's too obvious who comes out to make the saves. So in this particular instance, I was like, I didn't think that would be a thing. That's interesting. Now, I'm sure it will lead to a 6-man tag at some point, which I know you won't love, but I think I thought it was a nice touch because I didn't really expect them to come out to save Cody. If anyone did, I thought it would just be like the normal Jey Uso War Games team, yada, yada nonsense. So,
well, there's nobody left on the War Games team because McIntyre's taking them out one by one.
It's true.
So, which is another way to segue into something that I believe is pretty amazing. But I think McIntyre with his fucking terrible mullet hair, but his hairy chest and his just whatever he's got as going
his
on.
Big shiny sword.
His big. I mean, he's like Fabio in a little bit. He's just
an ugly Fabio, an ugly, angry Fabio.
The hairball of a man, but man, is he intimidating. But it's just like he's all over my Monday Night Raw, but he's not in the same way. Like he's overexposed, but he's not. It feels like he's just the right amount. And when I'm watching him, and it's like he comes out after Jey Uso gets the yeet back. So congratulations that you can get our comeback. Yeet. But the Mac apologizes for taking out Sammy, which is great heel work. And then he says, Jay, that's not as hard as it is. You can, and then he makes fun of some dude in the crowd, which you don't get to see a lot of that interaction with like the heckling or like picking out some random guy named Austin and then, teeing off on him, which I thought was great. And then he wins the match with, some chicanery with the, the whole thumb to the eye or digging to the eye thing. I would love to see Jey Uso with an eye patch. Don't think it's going to happen. But then later on, we get him, a bat's, part of the first part of the Jamaican Me Crazy thing where he gets the day one edition of Raw. I think that's going to be a chicanery, a gaga when that happens. But we'll see what goes down there. I would be curious to see how that goes down because Seth Rollins beat McIntyre clean. It doesn't feel like they're going to waste it on a Monday Night Raw, right? It feels like it's going to the Rumble.
Yeah, it's interesting because that was kind of the spot we thought that it would be, but I don't know. They clearly that the New Year's Day, it's a big show because a lot of people are off. There's a good chance to get more eyeballs. I think they will be going up against some football, but it's something that they earmarked. But yeah, I mean, The last one was clean. I would expect some good guy here because it's easy to run this back as the Rumble match. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they handle it because obviously you still have the Priest thing lurking. I mean, I think we're both under the assumption now it feels like they're just going to wait till Mania or after Mania at this point for that if they haven't done it yet. But who knows? Maybe, like we've said before, maybe they pulled the wool over our eyes and now that we least expect it, it'll happen. But yeah, I mean, I'm curious to see how they do it this time because if Seth just beats him again, it's like, okay, well then, yeah, we know Drew McIntyre's going to completely melt down, but I kind of want a little more out of it. So we'll see.
I'll be curious to see what happens on day one because I feel like they're going to try to stack that show considering they're going to tape Monday Night Raw or have a best of on Christmas, which makes perfect sense because everybody deserves some time off.
That's how it should be, baby. Give them all the week off.
Yeah,
I got to be watching anyways. So
I mean, you're working, but that's beside the point. Nobody cares about you. That's just,
it's different.
It's different. Yeah. Okay.
Christmas Day is the NBA's day. It always has been, man.
Well, NBA, who cares?
This year, the NFL is stealing their spotlight, but.
Well, let's see if the NFL, does the same ratings. I would imagine they plaster it.
The NFL will crush.
So, crush. No accolades there. What else did you
crush?
Crush. Anything else you would like to talk about?
Yeah, I will say this. I mean, I'm curious how upset you're going to be about me bringing this up, but I thought Becky cooked Nia pretty good. And the more I see them together, much like I said this week, I actually want to see this. Like, this is something that, like, it's happened, 5 years ago at this point? We never had it fully paid off. I want to see a Becky Lynch Nia Jax match. It's one of those things. It's like, it just makes sense. It just like they both kind of got their jabs in. Becky always a little bit of corn, but she burned her pretty good with some lines. But yeah, it's one of those things. Like, I watched this and I expected to hate it, and I was like, you know what? Even with a little bit of cringe, I still want to see this. I want to see this. It makes sense. It's a storyline that never got paid off. In Nestlemania, I like to see things get paid off. So yeah, I want to see Becky Lynch versus Nia Jax. When the match happens and I come on the next week and complain about it, deal with it. But doesn't mean I don't have nice expectations that I actually want to see.
I love how you just basically hypocritically told yourself, like,
it's because amazing. I know what I watch it's not going to be good and be like, they fucking tricked me. But that's the beauty of WWE. That's always my thing. Get me to the match. Yeah. And then whatever happens, and then I'm good.
Lead me to disappointment, and then allow me to be disappointed.
Because you know what? I have 4 weeks to think about things usually before the match happens, where the actual match is 10 to 20 minutes. So I'd rather have the 4 weeks be good and have the 10 to 20 minutes be shit than vice versa.
You know what? You're not wrong, pal. You're just not. But the one thing I will say about this was, like, the double ACL surgery, her legs couldn't even hold her up. Like, I lost it with that line. I was like, that's not a line she came up with on her own. No fucking way. The fact that they did the whole thing about the nose breaking and playing it and reminding everybody, again, WWE does better than AEW. AEW, I'm begging you. Re-educate your audience every week. I know we get upset with the recaps in WWE, but they're there for a reason. And they need to do that in AEW. But anyway.
No, you need more time for random Continental Classic matches so you don't have to try to do storytelling.
My God. I don't even want to get into that.
I had to get my jab in. Okay.
So anyway, the one thing that really stuck out to me, which was, yeah, their match isn't going to be that great, but they've never wrestled, like, since
That's what incident. What I mean. Pay it off.
And so you want a debt to be paid, right? As a fan, you want that debt. And I don't know exactly what they said, but I wrote it down because it made me feel very similar, right? Where they made a comment where it was like, we could be destined to do this forever. And I just was like, there was a very Batman Joker feel here. And I was like, the one thing about Becky Lynch that I would say is that Becky Lynch always delivers when she has a good rival. Like Charlotte, right? Like Charlotte and Becky will always be tethered together, whether they're teaming or against each other. It's just, that's the fucking forte, right? Now you can tell me that the other horsewomen are kind of part of that, but you'd say Charlotte, right? But in terms of other rivals for Becky Lynch, we never got the one-on-one with Ronda. We probably never will. To me, that's
that one up big time. Yeah.
That's the biggest rival to me that Becky Lynch has had, where you felt something for her. And I think in order for Becky Lynch to continue to solidify her run here, she needs a rival. And what better way? And now I know people are going to be nauseated by this comment, but to having an actual feud with Nia until we get to Mania,
No.
Yeah.
I said I want to see it once.
No,
I
no,
did
no,
not
no,
say
no.
I want a trilogy.
No.
I do not want a
No.
quintuple. I
gonna be
definitely
a-
don't want it for the next 4 months. Good fucking God, no.
No, because here's the thing. To me, Trish Stratus and Becky Lynch were terrible. Just fucking
Brutal.
terrible, right?
Too long.
But here's the thing. I have a feeling here that Becky Lynch and Nia Jax will actually be pretty damn good. I really do.
I'm not gonna go that far. I just want to see it. That's all.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. This is an easy slam dunk feud to get Becky Lynch all the way to WrestleMania. Because she doesn't need to win the Rumble. We talked about it last week. But having Becky Lynch deal with Nia Jax, it's like Damage Control was terrible. Trish was terrible. Zoe, whatever. And then Nia Jax. You know, it's like this poor woman, besides the fact she had her little NXT run, which was great. But I think Nia Jax could potentially be her biggest rival, like going forward. I truly believe that. I think that Nia Jax can bring something out of Becky Lynch that is missing. I really do. I'm trying to be positive here.
I want to see it, but I don't want to see it to WrestleMania. So
I'm not saying every week
it's
here.
staying on the 4 months, eh?
Listen. There's got to be an elimination chamber.
It'll at least go through the Rumble because they'll probably have bullshit in the Rumble. But
yeah,
they'll probably fight at day 1, and then they'll have bullshit in the Rumble. But then hopefully after that we start to move on as we get towards the chamber and the other shit.
All I'm saying is, I wouldn't be surprised if once Becky Lynch wins that again, that we see Nia rear her head and we are.
And I'm just saying, fuck you, because I don't want 4 months of this shit.
Listen, you know what? I don't even want to make this comparison because I'm going to get hosed for saying it, but fuck it. I'll do it anyway because Nia Jax, when she's on my TV, I can't turn away. She's similar to CM Punk in that aspect that when she's on my TV, I just want to see what happens next. That's all.
I'm not even going to dignify that with a response. Jesus Christ. Do you have any other shine?
Do you?
No. Not after that comment.
Get him off my TV. Get him off my TV. Get him off my TV. My face hurts so much. I got through that entire thing. Where do we start, folks? This is just fucking. So I don't know if we should just do speed round bullshit, but here we are. We're on SmackDown Tribute to the Troops. It is what it is. It felt like a fucking ridiculous amount of nonsense for a lot of it, parading around the United States flag and all that shit. They had JBL on commentary, which I am not a fan of because JBL, every time he's on commentary, I'm just like, man, is he 10 years behind? It's just,
we gotta fly, do so.
It's just, he really, he makes comments. It's just like, no one knows the reference you're making. Like, no, not like I know Leave It to Beaver, but he made a reference to Leave It to Beaver. And I'm like, do you know your audience? Get the fuck off my television. Honestly,
I would not have got that in a million years.
He
seen that show since I was like fucking 8.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, he makes like ridiculous amounts of nonsense, and I'm just like,
you.
No, I mean,
they want you to take the bread.
No, they want you to take the rolls, you moron. You fucking moron.
The bread.
The roll.
Rolls are bread.
Yeah, whatever. And then so we get into Cody Loves America. Who gives a shit? It's whatever.
I mean, it's for America, Nestle. You being anti-fucking patriotic.
I'm not anti-American. I'm just saying.
Nestle's anti-tributing the troops.
No, I'm not. What I would like to see is just some shit that fucking makes sense instead of this. I just don't like it.
You know what you're getting when you see tribute to the troops, okay? The fact that we got fucking Cody and CM Punk is a plus in my book.
Delightful. Then we have backstage where EO calls Bailey a bitch in Japanese. You see that? The translation was, why is this bitch still talking? I was just like,
Japanese.
It was just someone translated to, why is this bitch still talking? Which I was just like, holy goddamn. But now I'm just thinking to myself, we have 6 more weeks of this to the Rumble. 6 more weeks of this.
JC. We've been dealing with this damage control bullshit for over a year. It can't be worse than it has been. At least
it can be.
I can see that little trickle of light, like the little trickle of light coming from the corner. This corner of my camera, the light at the end of the tunnel of Bailey getting away from damage control. I can see it finally. It's been very dark in damage control for a long time, but I see that little trickle of light. So Nestlemania, you just gotta believe. But yeah, this shit was in my heat. This was terrible, and it sucks. Charlotte appeared to get injured again in the rematch with Asuka. It's just like, yeah, it's just SmackDown is just woof.
It is so hard to watch SmackDown sometimes. Like,
it's been bad this year, man.
There are portions. There are portions where it's really good, and then I'm just thinking to myself, the tag division is not existent. The champions are non-existent. The women's division is in shambles. And all I can think about
division is existent. It's just not very good existence.
Yeah, but just having a pulse isn't good. It's just the option. You know what I mean? Like
if Grayson Waller wasn't on SmackDown, I probably wouldn't even watch SmackDown.
I mean, the only reason you watched SmackDown this week is because Cody Rhodes was advertised, CM Punk was advertised, and that was it. I mean, that's it. I don't think there's anything else that could have told you different.
I watched for Grayson Waller and Austin Theory because I love them. So
I just can't do it. I refuse to do it. But anyway, we get to something that really bothered me. And because I'm a nitpicky Nestle, it was just one of those things that nobody talked about on social media because it was buried by CM Punk being there, Cody Rhodes farting America, and all these other nonsensical things. Solo was wearing boots and kick pads. Solo went against the grain of Samoa tradition and decided to wear kick pads and boots when he's trying to be Umaga, and now he's not, and he's a street fighter. And why do street fighters need kick pads and boots when he was wearing just perfectly good taped up feet, and feet are just as effective, and he was Solo, and he was fighting, and now he's got stupid boots on, and he looks like just every other schmuck in the whole universe instead of looking cool and crazy like a wild Samoan, and now I'm just upset that he's wearing footwear.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
Do you like Justin Timberlake?
I used to.
Cry me a river. Who fucking cares? I'll tell you what, if Umaga was wrestling today, he'd probably wear boots too. You know why? Because his feet probably fucking hurt. Okay? He wants to cover them up, give him a little bit of protection. Plus, feet are disgusting and should be covered 24 hours a day. No one wants to see your goddamn feet. So, Solo, I give you a Samoan salute for covering those feet and protecting your feet. So, bravo, Solo.
JC, do you use protection?
My feet? Yes.
No.
My feet
just overall. Are you a big fan of protection?
When
do you feel for it? Do you feel better without protection?
On my feet? No.
No, I'm just saying in general. How do you feel about
well, we're talking about feet here, Nestlemania.
No, I'm talking about you in general.
I'm talking
do you
about
walk around do you walk around barefoot? I can guarantee
I don't actually. I walk around in socks.
All the time?
All the time. I sleep in socks. I do everything in socks.
You don't shower and go in the pool in socks. I've seen you
shower
in sandals.
That would defeat the purpose.
I've seen you in sandals.
Well, yeah, when you go to the beach or when you go to a pool, because guess what? There's water there, and you might want to put your feet in the water.
I've seen you non-water scenario where you are wearing sandals.
Yeah, but I usually, honestly, when I walk around in sandals around my apartment, I have socks on. I do socks and sandals. If I go to the store sometimes, I don't feel like putting on shoes, I wear socks and sandals. People say it's a fashion
European?
thing. I say you're a fucking moron. I like to be comfortable, and I don't feel like taking off my socks. So suck it.
But you're not letting yourself be free.
Oh, no, I'm free in many ways, Nestlemania, but not my feet. My feet deserve to be locked up like everyone else's feet.
Just because you walk around naked in your apartment doesn't mean that's free. What I'm saying here is that you
spying on me?
No, I don't spy on you. You have told me many a time you walk around with
Who doesn't walk around naked?
Well, I don't live by myself like you do, so I can't do that.
I've also walked around naked when I don't live by myself sometimes, you know?
Well, that's a gamble in and to itself, isn't it? I'm just saying.
For me. I'm just saying. Just because I've seen it, you know?
Just because you can't see it doesn't mean they can see it either. It's fine.
No, I'm just saying it's nothing I haven't seen before. You know, whether it's
no one else wants to see it. That's for sure. Otherwise, you'd have people knocking down your door. But that's not the fact.
No one's told me that yet. You know, and no one's
ever said no. All right, that's fine.
See, I think you're trying to get in a different territory. I'm here talking about feet and how feet are disgusting.
Well, you're trying
to bring about other things. I'm talking about protecting your feet and Solo.
Listen, it's a double entendre. It's cheeky. That's what we do here. We're cheeky on the knocker. Okay, that's all.
He's on the other side of the body, Adam.
Who the fuck is Adam?
You are.
No, you are.
No, I'm not Adam. I'm JC.
You are not Adam.
It says right there.
The father.
At JC of the JK right on the screen.
I am at zero. I mean, I'm Zero Riz. That's me. That's Zero Riz.
At least the computer knows it because you certainly don't.
I'm certainly not. I couldn't add up Riz if I tried. Something else that moves on to Raw, which is where I get kind of whatever. It is what it is. Maxine and Rhea just real hard on the diarrhea on this one.
That was a tough match.
I'm just saying. It's not necessarily Rhea's fault. It's not necessarily Maxine's fault. It's the fact that they put Maxine in the ring with zero experience against someone.
No, it's not that. It's like they tried to do a lot, and it just wasn't. It looked like those two had never worked together before.
You think?
It's probably true.
Come on.
So that's the thing is like the one thing I will say about Maxine is she's willing to try things. Now,
yeah, everybody's willing to do it at least once.
Green, there's gonna be mistakes. Our boy Mafu is getting some nice material this week, but
listen.
Yeah,
this
match is not what I would call. This match is not what I would call a wrestling classic.
Listen, just because you have someone that's willing to try something for the first time doesn't mean it's going to end up very well for everybody.
I know,
involved.
but you know how you learn Nestlemania? By failing.
I thought you were going to say by fucking. But failing,
you can learn a few things about that too. But
you don't want to fucking fail, and you don't want to fail while you fuck. It's really, either way.
Sometimes to fuck, you have to fail and then fail and fuck some more.
And it's true.
Both F words.
They are, and honestly, you're always better at coming out on top. You know, it is what it is. But anyway, it was a terrible match. I don't know where we were going with this.
It was fucking bad.
It was just fucking bad across the board.
I did like the Ivy Nile stare down because I tell you what, if Ivy and Rhea wrestle, that will not be a terrible match.
All I kept thinking was, man, is Ivy Nile still small? Like, you just look at her and you're like, doesn't matter. She's like a pint size of pain.
Because honestly, she's going to be such a good babyface because of that. Because she's going to be able to do things that like bigger, like stronger women can do. But being in that small package, it makes her like instantly like likable. So
my thing is that, and you're probably going to think I'm fucking weird for this, but let me just paint this picture for you and think that you would, if you think this is good and that you think it's entertaining and that you would enjoy it as a fan. The one thing that I think endeared us the most, besides the fact that he's an ogre and like falls over his feet, that Braun Strowman did were these massive feats of strength, right? Like tipping over the fucking ambulance, tipping over the semi. Not that Ivy Nile is going to do these things, but I think leading up to their match,
you compared Ivy Nile to Braun Strowman.
No, hold on here.
Look at how small she was. And you put the biggest guy in the roster.
Hold on. Okay. I'm just saying we need feats of strength that are incredible that Ivy can accomplish to point home here, bring it on home that Ivy Nile can actually be in the same ring as Rhea Ripley doing some muscly things. That's all I'm saying. Flexing. That's it.
I just use Braun Strowman as an example. He was like, let's put the biggest guy in the roster. Yeah, Ivy Nile do that stuff.
Yeah. Have her flip a gurney, not a full ambulance. Have her put out a tire.
I can flip a gurney.
I'm just trying to say what's actually going to happen.
She can fucking bench press the fuck out of me.
I'm sure she could do that. Make her bench press R-Truth. Something, anything. It'd be funny. I think when you show off her skill set in terms of her strength, that's where you're going to buy in that she's good.
You missed the easy solution. You have her just body slam Dom. That'll get a huge pop.
No, that doesn't mean anything.
Instantaneously over, and it pisses off Rhea because that's mommy.
He's a cuck. Have her body slam Priest.
No, it works better with Dom because that's her Dom.
Ooh. Have her body slam Dom and JD at the same time.
There you go. Ding, ding, ding.
There you go. There it is. I should be booking this shit. I am a genius.
No, you should.
Anyway, moving on to things that really weren't very good either. Let me make sure I've got everything here. We have this random match where Candice and Indy lose, which it is a jobber alert, but I kept thinking to myself, they're a real fucking tag team. Now, granted, the other tag team was a real tag team too, and they need some baby faces to go after, of course, not Candice, excuse me, the tag team champions. Thank you. Yeah, I can't even think this right because you got me all flustered. Doesn't take very much. But Candice, I know. Candice and Indy have this match, and I kept thinking to myself, when are they going to get their fucking shot? Like, when are they going to be?
It's a carousel. Caden and Katana lost. Now they're winning. They get their shot. Then if they don't win, we go to the next team on the carousel, baby.
Let me ask you a question.
Fire bitches show up.
Where are the voodoo bitches at? Where are the voodoo bitches at?
They're cutting those promos, and now they're just like, whatever.
Those cauldron bitches just.
I would like to see what Isla Dawn's up to.
I would also like to see what Up and Down is Dawn. I would like to see all of it, to be honest, because honestly,
Up, Don.
Up, Don. There you go. New t-shirt. Look, I want the voodoo bitches to win those things, but because they have a great fucking tag finish and they seem like a cool tag team and it's entertaining. There's a plethora of things you can do with it, but they're not gonna. Like, they're not even on my TV. Like, they can't even get women on SmackDown to wrestle. Like, it's unbelievable to me. So
they should just put them on Raw with all the women tag teams on Raw because there's at least segments on Raw for women's tag teams.
Yes,
every week there's some sort of segment. So,
And
Yeah, I'm excited. Caden and Katana get a title shot next week. I love watching them wrestle because they do things as a tag team that other teams just don't do because of their size and their athleticism. They have such a fascinating moveset. They're dressed the same. They're just like they look like a real tag team, and it's nice to see. It's more appealing to watch someone who enjoys tag team wrestling to watch a team that's been together, that works together, that has a full set of tag team moves where they're just busting out new shit every week. So I'm excited to watch what they can do next week.
I hope they win. I think that'd be fun, but who knows?
Cool.
Who knows? Those tag titles are just fucking fucked either way. I'm curious. This was heat for me with Nakamura and Cody, but of course you defend Cody to the end.
Oh no, I didn't bring this up for a reason. This
Okay,
is
all right.
heat.
Okay,
This
all right.
is heat.
Go ahead,
they
baby.
They fucked this. They sold me on it last week, then they fucked it this week. It's like, oh come on, here we go. Typical Rob bullshit.
I will say the anime stuff was interesting for half a second, and then I can't say this out loud because I watch Raw, late at night, and I can't scream or shout or yell, being whatever. But when I saw the red mist, I kept thinking to myself, do you think Cody just did that so he could just have red in his blonde hair to be like, look at I'm like my dad?
Yeah. So he probably like, fuck you, Moxley.
Yeah, exactly. Huge Wang's in the house with a lot of emojis, with the alerts and penis emojis. It's all over the place.
That is I believe it is a
purple Peter leader, yeah.
Yeah, that thing.
It's an eggplant. Eggplant.
I was blanking on the word.
Wang gang, stand up. Sort of says. I just think that's funny.
Nessa loves the Wayne. He's a big Wayne guy.
If Huge Wang comes in the Jobber Knocker thread every time, he's always welcome. The Wednesday night
Nessa loves Huge Wayne in his threads.
Yes, that's true. And my DMs. That's what I want. Wang's in my DMs is what I want. Anything else you want to get hopeful?
Be careful saying that because you might get it. Yeah, I got nothing to say about Cody and Nakamura. It's just like it's side quest Cody, man, and it's just like they kind of like lured you in, like, oh, we had a good episode leading into the side quest. Then we get what's this, and we're just like, okay, they're still dragging this shit out. Next,
yeah, it's bad, and it's not going to end, folks. It's just going to keep on keeping on.
Get me to the Rumble.
Do you think Cody Rhodes might not be in the Final Four because Nakamura will throw him out or do something?
Don't even start Nestlemania.
Do you think that's going to happen?
No. They're gonna fucking. It's not gonna come down to him and Punk.
Adrenaline in my soul, thrown out of the Rumble in the middle. It's gonna be great.
I mean, the chances of him coming out first is very high. So,
yeah, it's so bad for me to think about all these things. By the way, Doc, fuck you. It's nice to see you. All right, wonderful. Moving on to things that matter. It's time to get hopeful. Would you have a hope prepared? I think not. I'll go first.
I think you should go first because you're not prepared.
I am prepared. I have a better hairline than everybody in this entire thread. So I'm going to go first. My hope is very simple. As CM Punk has declared himself for the Royal Rumble, folks, people are wondering, can CM Punk be a good boy? Can CM Punk do the unthinkable? He's talked about finishing his story, and winning the Royal Rumble was a big check mark on the old Phil Brooks list. I say he wins the Royal Rumble. He picks Seth Rollins. He then goes on to night one and wins. And to show a gesture of good faith, he then either gets cashed in immediately or on Monday, and Priest then beats him in the biggest stage that he possibly can to make Priest a bigger deal, because I think Priest beating Punk does more for Priest than Priest beating Rollins. And I think it shows that Priest is then off to the races. Seth Rollins can kick him in the nuts or do something weird to be pissed off, and they continue that feud without the championship. And then CM Punk was a good boy and showing that he can work with everybody and not have a fucking conniption. So conniption Punk. And that's my hope, folks. CM Punk wins, he loses, and he's a good boy. The end.
So you don't want him to win the title first and immediately lose it? You want him to lose originally, or?
No. I want him to win it at Mania.
Okay, and immediately
get cashed out, and then get cashed in on, or we'll wait till Monday. But either way, quick and easy.
They do love the Monday after Mania cash-in.
They do. And I think Priest needs something. I would even go as far, folks, to say that Priest may not even be on the WrestleMania card just to throw us off.
There's a chance they still have the tag titles.
Don't say those things. That right there is the most
perfect. If the Creeds don't beat them, you think fucking the fucking emo son of fucking Gargano and Ciampa are gonna win? I don't think so.
Listen, they are
not as long as they have that sign.
They are building up. Do it yourself. It is that what he called them? Do yourself it or something.
Do yourself it.
Do yourself it, and Wade's like, it's your favorite team, Cole. Do yourself it.
Oh my god.
But listen, we're down to like 6 teams that could potentially do it, and probably more like 2, but there they are. So I would think that Priest would not be on WrestleMania at this point, just to throw us off.
Yeah, I doubt that. I doubt that highly. Nestlemania, my hope, because I had one the whole time. You're a loser.
Lies.
We're
Lies.
going to SmackDown, and we are going to the United States title tournament, whatever the fuck it is. This is a thing, as we saw last week. We didn't talk about it, but Santos beat Dragon Lee to advance. Bobby beat Karrion Kross. Welcome back. You get an L in the tournament. And this week we have Kevin Owens versus Theory and Carmelo Hayes versus Grayson Waller. They blew the surprise by having HBK announce it on, I believe it was Monday night or Tuesday night. I don't fucking know. But it's going to be Carmelo Hayes versus Grayson Waller. I'm a full chub about that. But it got me to thinking. That means Carmelo Hayes is going to be on SmackDown this week, Nestlemania. And I have to look at the bracket. I have to pull it up. Do you know who would face Bobby? With Carmelo won, would he face Bobby or would he face
Kevin Owens?
Oh, he faced Kevin Owens?
Yes.
So that kind of ruins it. But my point is that, we've had the rumors of Carmelo possibly joining forces with Bobby and the Profits. Well, now suddenly they're going to be on the show this week. Maybe next week. So what could that mean? We could have a little bit of a scissoring. That's the other show, but they could link up, and that could be a way to get Carmelo Hayes towards the main roster. And it's one of those things you look back in time and you're thinking, could Bobby Lashley be the Farouk for Carmelo Hayes to overtake him on his Rocky Maivia climb to the top? But no, it would make sense. This has been the rumor. Carmelo, the Bobby and Profits kind of have this heel vibe. Carmelo's kind of trending, especially if you watched NXT on Tuesday with that. He's obviously going to have some business with Trick to deal with, but I think this could be a way we could finally start to maybe set the table for that to happen. So that's my hope, is that we get a little interaction on Friday, and if he wins, maybe the week after that, and then eventually Carmelo Hayes will be a part of the Bobby Lashley family. That's what I'm just going to call it, because I don't know what to call it.
May I have a volley, sir?
Sure.
Let me enhance your hope. Ready?
You can't enhance my hope. It's super enhanced.
Yeah, well, besides the fact that you've taken All right, anyway. So you want Carmelo Hayes to be part of the Bobby faction, right?
Yeah.
What if the Bobby faction, those three, maybe even Omos, are the people and the reason for attacking Trick Williams?
And I don't like cross. I think it's just easier just have it just be Carmelo.
I think that's interesting to me, because then it's just like, okay, Trick now has Trick's fucked. To me, that's interesting to me, where you're like, they beat up that they did that for Carmelo for a reason, so Carmelo could get something and he didn't. And I think it would work perfectly. I think it'd be awesome, because
they could do it. I think it would be better, especially the way they're building it, that we finally get footage of Carmelo actually taking him out, as opposed to him hiring someone. I think that's a little bit of a cop out, but it's interesting because obviously, look at Carmelo, whenever he finishes with NXT, he's going to be putting Trick over before he does, because we're assuming that fucking Melo's going to cost him at the New Year's Evil, and then we'll have Carmelo and Trick fight for a little while. And then I do think WrestleMania weekend could be when Trick gets over Ilya to win that championship. So I think we're in for some good storytelling by the Booker of the Year, Shawn Michaels, down in NXT. So I'm excited.
You're not going to tell me that Tony Khan's the Booker of the Year again?
Shawn Michaels has been the Booker of the Year 3 years in a row now. Fucking NXT has the best fucking stories. Everyone has a story. Everything on TV matters. Some of it's kind of cringe, but I'm okay with it, because at least they're trying and everyone has a purpose. Everything has a purpose. The complete opposite of AEW, which is just match diarrhea all over the fucking show.
You hear that, Tony Khan?
And matches everywhere.
Everybody has a purpose. Or a purpose. Or a purpose. It is what it is. Let's get a comeback going, shall we?
Speaking of NXT, mine's from NXT in Nestlemania. It is Miss Cora Jade, who won up Blair Davenport's big moment after she won the Iron Survivor by attacking Lyra Valkyria. So it appears that Lyra will likely run through Blair Davenport on New Year's Evil as we prepare for her bigger matchup against the returning Cora Jade, who has been out, I believe, 6 to 8 months with a chest injury. She seems to have it patched up, though, because everyone's noticed the work, but Cora's back. Cora's a good mean girl. She's very happy to see Punk because she's one of the AJ babies, but Cora had a great heel turn, and she was one of the better heels on the show. So it's nice to have her back into a absolutely stacked women's division.
I gotta say, we'll talk more about NXT in a little bit. The pay-per-view PLE, excuse me. But I was so fascinated with the whole, just the new renaissance of the women's division in NXT. Like, there's almost like tears to it. It's kind of bizarre, but
There's a
like
lot of fucking women in that division. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. All right. My comeback. Are you sitting down?
What does it look like?
I don't know. You could be really.
I'm not on my knees.
You could be really short. You could be part of the Munchkin parade, like fucking Doc over here with the fucking "We represent the Lollipop Guild," and then he's fucking short. Anyway, moving on to my comeback this week. That's right, folks. TJ, it is not a fever dream, my friend. I'm giving my comeback to one Joseph. No, I'm kidding. Not Joseph. I'm giving it to one Jonathan Gargano. That's right. Jonathan Gargano. Johnny Gargano gets my comeback this week. He put out a fucking video about how he wanted to wrestle in the building that he told everybody he was going to wrestle in. He finally did it. He should have fucking won the 6-man tag. He should have fucking been the one that pinned him. I know why they did it, because of the Miz going off with Gunther and all that nonsense. But God damn it, Johnny Gargano has turned a leaf on the Nestle. I would say I am going full Nestle on this, and I will say
full of shit.
Johnny Gargano, that promo endeared something inside this cold black heart, this rebel heart, maybe perhaps. And I think that Johnny Gargano has turned a corner, and I think that I can do some healing now and officially say that Johnny Gargano is a Nestle guy.
You're trying to curse him.
No,
You're
I'm not.
Such a fucking fraud.
No,
you
I'm
are
not.
Such a fraud. You are a complete liar.
Nope.
Oh my God. You are such a fraud.
I think Johnny Gargano has turned a page in my book. And I believe
because of a random 6-man tag match where in his hometown, where the Miz was the star of it, and the best part of it was them like being like, "Oh God, here he comes," and Miz throwing his arms around these two guys that were his fucking enemies. Like literally, I love that they called back to it like the Dexter Lumis storyline, because that was just so funny. And I'm like, this is why I love wrestling, because we go through this fucking ridiculous feud, and now it's just like, hey guys, what's up? It's such a Miz thing, though. It worked.
Do you watch soap operas? Have you ever watched a soap opera? It's essentially the same thing. So how many times?
I watch soap operas, but I watch CW shows. So
listen. Shout out to Mama Nestle. Her entire life she's watched General Hospital, and that has been one of those things where it's like so and so sleeping with so and so, and then this person's this thing, and then they're enemies, and then they're friends, and then this person's like the long lost brother who's dead. It's when you watch that shit, you're like, this is outrageous. How can anybody fucking watch this? And it's been on for like 40 to 50 fucking years. Wrestling's the same fucking way. So when I look at it, I think to myself, that makes perfect fucking sense that the Miz would be tagging up with fucking Ciampa and Gargano. And honestly, you know what? I don't want them to win the tag titles. I do not want Do Yourself It to win those tag titles, but I don't mind them on my TV. And I think Johnny Gargano did a great job. And I thought that the crowd was behind him, and I just thought he should have won that match. That's all.
Well, guess what, Nestlemania? There was another guy in that match from Cleveland who's a bigger star than him so far. So, yeah. I am not buying this fucking Johnny Gargano facade. For that case, we're going to go to the big old finish on SmackDown this week. Roman Reigns returns. Holy shit. I forgot he existed. We also have, like I mentioned earlier, the U.S. title tournament matches. Carmelo Hayes and Grayson Waller. That'll be a banner. Kevin Owens, in theory, also will be a banner. I'm assuming we both think KO and Melo are going to win.
I think that's the safest bet. However, what?
You're just wasting like, I think. Yes, I agree.
But I could see KO losing.
Yeah, I feel like he's winning the tournament, so
I would think so. But at this point, it just feels like, do they want, like, KO seems like the slam dunk, but if they're doing the fucking arm thing, who knows? Who knows?
I think Waller has a better chance to beat Melo than Theory does at beating KO. That's just me, though.
Okay. We'll see.
I think the babies are winning the day, though. And then on Raw Nestlemania, we have the Tag Team Monday, baby. The Judgment Day defend against the Creed brothers, and Chelsea and Piper defend their women's tag titles against Katana and Kaden. Do we see new champs from either one?
No. Not a fucking no way. Maybe the women's, definitely not the men's.
All right, Creed, we can book it. Nestle Curse. Creed brothers are winning on Monday. He is continuing to double down on the the Judgment Day. Honestly, I think that I agree. I think the women's have a better chance of a surprise change, but you never know. AEW, we're not doing this week because it's Wednesday, but Nestlemania, we will go to NXT Deadline on Saturday. I thought they had a fun show as always, and they kicked off the show with the sexy boy, and he was interrupted by the punky boy.
I didn't enjoy it because I was just like, this just doesn't seem authentic at all. It just seems like
it was a way to pump up the crowd.
It was a parade.
Never been on NXT. It was a cool way to do it. They did the whole gimmick of, oh, he missed his flight. He has to stay in town. It's like, yeah, bullshit. But no, it was. I thought it was a cool little way to kick off the show. Shawn Michaels usually never comes out, but I think for this it made sense. And they're trying to play up this whole free agent bullshit. So he had to make an offer.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll be right back.
Anti-fun, shocker.
All right, you talk about the next thing. I'll be right back in 10 seconds. Something happened. I'll be right back.
Okay. Well, I don't really want to talk about it because Dom lost, and I'm upset. He's upset there was no Judgment Day to help him. Dragon Lee does pick up the win in front of Dominic's father and Dragon Lee's hero, Rey Mysterio. Wow, this is like the best conversation I've ever had with my co-host here, as you can see. But yeah, Dragon Lee wins. This was a solid match. It wasn't anything special, but new NXT North American champ. I'm not even going to let Nestle talk about it because we're going to go on to the Women's Iron Survivor match, which I thought this match was a star-making performance for our girl Fallon Henley. I thought Kalani Jordan had some nice athletic moments. And yeah, Blair Davenport picks up the surprise win. You thought it would be Tiffy time. I thought maybe we'd have an upset, but yeah, the takeaways for me was Fallon looked great. I think she really leveled up. And obviously, Cora's return after the match kind of told us that Blair's just, a notch on the belt for Lyra.
Excuse me. What I noticed about this matchup that made me feel like, okay, Kalani Jordan, very raw. Doesn't make any sense, is what it is, right? It is what it is. She needs a lot of work, but she's got a lot of potential there. Blair Davenport, snooze fest. Don't give a shit. I can't. She's not for me. She's got bangs. Any wrestler with bangs, I'm out. That's just.
Wow. Nestle's a bang shamer.
I am a bang shamer. Anything with bangs, I'm out. I don't care.
Wow.
Anyway, moving on to the other women in this matchup. I thought Tiffy Time was going to win. That woman is an insane human being, by the way. Someone needs to stop her from doing those swanton dives because she is like a half a second away, a hair away from landing on her head every single time.
Said that about Jeff Hardy for 20 years and he turned
out. Well, Jeff Hardy is pilled up out of it. Well, was pilled up out of his mind. So that's fine. He couldn't feel a goddamn thing, but she's a fucking maniac. And then you're sitting there. Who else was in this matchup?
Your girl, Lash Legend.
Oh, so you know what?
She almost won.
You know what's funny to me is that like as she was watching, as she was wrestling, I kept watching it going, this fucking woman's gonna win. I'm gonna have to eat crow. And then she lost, and I was like, oh, thank God. Oh, thank God. Because if I had to come on this program and say something about Lash Legend, I would have had to vomit. I would have literally taken out my bucket right here. You can't see it. Well, you can see it, but you can't really, if it's on audio. But I would puke into this bucket. I would. Because Lash Legend, although she can body slam Otis, not for me. There's something about her that just doesn't. Kalani Jordan, star. Fallon Henley, absolutely star. Tiffy Top, absolutely tippy top. Star. Blair Davenport, might as well be under the rug. I don't care. Lash Legend, step up from Blair Davenport. But that's about it, folks. That's all I'll say about that. What?
Wow, high praise there for Lash Legend. But yeah, we have a match that, they'll probably lose. Next up, we have Carmelo Hayes versus Lexis King. This was a match. Melo won. But after the match, the headline is Lexis says that he wasn't the one who attacked Trick, and it was all facade to get that PLE spotlight.
I do like that portion of it.
I do too, because he just did the same thing with the breakout tournament on Tuesday. Took out a competitor, put himself into that, much like Tiffany Stratton did. So
I think it's interesting to me because I'm not a fan of Brian Pillman or Lexis King, but I like his presentation. The problem I have with it is it's so inauthentic and fake with the way he delivers it. I don't believe him when he talks. So it's just like when The Undertaker, I know you hate saying the Undertaker thing, but like the Undertaker always says, like, stop pretending to be a wrestler and start acting like a real wrestler. He's still in that pretending to be a wrestler stage. So I'm not into it yet.
Every time I look at him, I think of the Tiger King. So that's the problem for me, taking him seriously. But again, I don't know. I think he should have his name, but whatever.
All right, moving on.
Next up, we have an epic match with an epic epic comeback as we whoop that trick. What? Whoop that trick. Yeah. Whoop that trick. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. And then on Tuesday, he did like the Booker thing himself. It was fucking perfect. But yeah, this is a crazy match. It was insane. Obviously, Braun Breaker came in, got 3 falls. You had the big fucking goons going at it the whole match. Tyler Bate doing Beatty type things. But Trick Williams like went from no falls to a win. They timed this perfectly. It was well executed. He got that final pin with like a second to spare. It was a cool comeback. That's what's interesting to me about this match is that it is kind of weird when you start because it's kind of like similar thing to War Games, but it's like there is an advantage though to coming out first and coming out last for different reasons. Because if you come out first, you obviously have more time to get falls. But as Booker pointed out, it's also harder because you guys are fresh and there's no damage. Whereas someone like Braun comes in fourth, spear, 1, 2, 3, and he's in the lead. So I think it's kind of interesting with this match because there's all different types of possibilities they can do with it. It's obviously a completely new concept as of last year, but it's one of those matches that it has to be booked well. And man, I thought they nailed the booking this year.
I was really impressed with this matchup. I thought everybody looked great. It was the embodiment of what Braun Breaker is in 40 seconds, which was great. And then, you know, Tyler Bate was basically the glue that held that thing together for a very long time. And I was very proud of him because I was just like, look at this little guy go. He's doing so well.
He's a big strong boy. Did you hear the part?
Yeah.
Booker T going like, oh, he's big. He's big. And then he's like, what about Tyler Bate? He's like, well, he's a big strong boy. So good. So
it was good. It was so good. Like Trick did a great job timing wise. The crowd just fucking loves him. He's raw too, though. Like he's not necessarily somebody that I'm looking at thinking like, he's not a bull in a china shop either.
Yeah,
like,
but he leveled up when he fought Ilya Dragunov. Like they're using that as a storyline, but watching that match, it was like this kid leveled up because obviously when you're fucking Mellow sidekick, you feel like a sidekick. You look like a sidekick because you're the sidekick to one of the most talented wrestlers in NXT by far. So it's just like it made sense. But what's cool about this storyline is it's kind of like it's a storyline, but it's also real life where like we're watching Trick level up because we know he came in as a football player with no experience. He's a guy they built from the ground up. He had the charisma. He has a unique thing. He has a cool look. He's super athletic. He's big. And now that he's finally starting to get the chops a little bit, he's proven he can go. But the more time he has in that ring, man, he's just going to age like a fine wine. And it's kind of cool to see. And every time he gets in there with Dragunov, you know, it's just going to make him better and better because you do not leave the same wrestler after you wrestle Ilya because that man is a fucking clinic. And I am so excited for day one or no, New Year's Evil because I mean, I think Trick's already obviously had his coming out party. The crowd feels it. His entrance is fucking amazing. So I'm pumped, man. I'm excited. They gave us what we wanted, and we're gonna get to see it again.
I will say the down point of this entire match was Eddie Thorpe coming out for that. I was like, Eddie Thorpe with his one earring, and I'm just like,
he sometimes has two. I don't know. He always takes them off.
It's just like when I saw him, I'm like, there's Dijak, and he's doing his thing, and then I see Eddie Thorpe, and I'm like, well, this is something. Like this is unbelievably unnecessary.
It was kind of obvious though, because Dijak wrote him off TV. We knew Dijak wasn't going to win this. It was just an easy way. They fought on Tuesday. Well, they kind of fought. It was kind of like a fake match because they had some turnbuckle spot. I don't know if you saw it. So
I did.
Probably going to end up being a street fight, but I don't know. Neither of their characters kind of interest me that much. I'm not overly there. I think there's a reason Dijak had to go back to NXT. To kind of polish it off, but I don't know. I don't fully understand the Eddie Thorpe character quite yet.
Because he doesn't have one.
Well, that's what I mean. Yeah, it's one of those where it's like, yeah, so it's tough for me to get invested in those guys quite yet.
Okay, that's fair.
Next up, we have Kiana James and Roxanne Perez. Kiana James picks up the win thanks to Izzy Dame. And yeah, I mean, this was an obvious one we probably should have seen coming because Roxanne's days in NXT are numbered. It's just like this was a feud. You get her on a PLE. You kind of shine up Kiana, someone they think highly of a little bit here, who has a cool entrance and like an interesting, easy to understand gimmick. But yeah, this definitely was. I mean, it was the match before the main event for a reason. It's just like it was in a tough spot and in general, but it's what you had to put in that spot.
It's the worst match of the PLE by far because it was a let me up match. It was the bathroom break. Even though we don't like steel cage matches on this program, that's one thing. However, but yeah, I do not like Kiana James, and it's not like I don't like her because I'm supposed to not like her. It's almost like they express mailed her gimmick to her, and that there's no like. I appreciated the whole point of her getting into the bar thing and trying to take Fallon's bar away and that whole thing and like falling in love with Brooks. Like I thought that was at least some character development and stuff. I thought that she did good there. But then they win the tag titles and the whole thing. But then I felt like she kind of fell off the face of the earth for a little bit. And then she's doing this thing with Roxanne, but I don't believe anything that's going on here. Like, I just feel like, okay, her gimmick isn't good enough to get to the main roster as is, because I feel like there's too many people that can be that already.
I mean, you can say that about a lot of these gimmicks. I mean, there's a reason that's what NXT is for. It's to kind of shine them up. She's been there. I think she debuted like last year. So, still one of those things, but I don't mind. It's a boss bitch gimmick. We've seen stuff that we haven't seen before with like the briefcase and stuff like that. I think it works better with an assistant, which is what Izzy Dame is going to provide. I mean, you could argue since her split with Fallon, she's been doing a hell of a lot more than Fallon has, who's just been kind of like a sidekick up until the Iron Survivor, which I was very happy to see because we both love Fallon. So it's nice to see her get her moment. But they both were kind of in that territory of like, okay, what do we do now after we got through that storyline? But I think they both rebounded because, look, at a feud with Roxanne, I think is a big deal because she's someone that you pay attention to in NXT because she's a superstar and she's going to be on this main roster sooner rather than later. And it just feels like they're going to use her to kind of prop up a few women on the way out. So,
okay.
Next up, main event Nestlemania, Biker Corbin in his badass entrance taking on Dragunov. But as we see, Ilya doesn't lose very often because Ilya is a stud. So Ilya picks up the win, but I enjoyed this match. It was a hard-hitting match I expected.
I mean, not that Ilya is a small man, but everybody's smaller in comparison to, Baron Corbin. But Baron Corbin, I mean, you turned me around on Corbin, like 3-4 years ago. And then ever since, we've been on this program touting how much we love Baron Corbin. But I really don't know if that guy will ever get his flowers. Because when I was watching that match, I kept thinking to myself,
he kind of has this year though. Like remember you had the moments in like France and then NXT, like the tons of getting like, I think it's one of those like the way his gimmick is best. He's never going to get that. But I think he's someone now that like, I think people have more appreciation for. What I think you mean is that he might not ever get that moment that we want for him.
Yes.
He might not ever actually get the world title.
Yeah.
Which is a bummer because I think he's a guy that is very capable of it. But I think it's one of those things where like he's gotten so good at his role that it's hard to take him out of it. And I think that's kind of why he went to NXT. It was kind of like to refresh and kind of like do something different so he could come back anew. But I just think they look at him like, man, he is such a good fucking adversary to put in with someone. We don't have to worry about him between the ropes either because he makes people look good. He gets a reaction. So, I mean, it's the same kind of thing we see with Theory and we see with Finn Balor and these other guys when they're heels. It's like they get kind of stuck in this rut where it's just like they're on TV every week and they're putting on banner matches, but it's just like it kind of ruins their like personal upside because they're so good in that role.
I just think he's worth taking a flyer on in terms of just having a championship just one time. I think he can do it. I think he's been to the
he's a
top.
world heavyweight champion. He is a one or two time world heavyweight champion for sure. Will they do it? We'll see. It's a long list, man. Long list.
Unfortunately, it's stacked and crowded, and that's not a good thing for people like him. Anything else, or would you like to get out of here?
I think that's it, baby.
We're going to ignore AEW because AEW is going on right now. Hopefully, they have a great night of Continental Classic that I can fast forward. On that note, thank you for listening and watching the Jobber Knocker podcast. We'll be back next week with some more Jobber Knockery.
Thank you.